I'm Katie again.
And I'm Nicole. And in this video we're going to talk about report writing. Now a report is a genre that is objective, which means that you are informing your audience without ever giving them your opinion or telling them how to interpret your information.
This is all centered on the writer's objectivity, about the subject matter that they're writing about. Objectivity is essentially offering readers information and delivering information from as many perspectives as you can on the subject matter. The different perspectives that you'll be looking at are the people involved in the subject, the people affected by the subject, and the varying viewpoints and arguments, debates going on about the subject.
And a good comprehensive report will cover all of that. It will consider each perspective on the subject and discuss the strengths and weaknesses of both sides of the issue.
And the reason that you need to refrain from inserting your opinion or any bias on the writer's part is because at the end of the report, the writer will come away with their own perspective, and possibly their own opinion on the issue without you telling them or mediating how they should think or feel about the subject. You are simply the medium through which they get this information. You are not a conduit for offering opinion, for reflecting on what should or should not be done in a situation.
Yes, and you will get your chance to share your opinion in the position paper. So it's important that for the report genre, you try to introduce the subject that you're writing about this semester with as much objectivity as possible. That means no bias, no interpretation of the facts, no opinions whatsoever. You're just trying to report just the facts.
Another way to look at that is to simply relay information from various viewpoints, various sides, various people, various perspectives, instead of trying to interpret or analyze the information. You're simply the reporter on the scene, reporting what's going on, what's happening with the subject.
Tell them about the story from Post 1.
Okay, so for this weekend, you're supposed to read an article that was posted or written for The Atlantic in October by Mark Bowden. He is the author of Black Hawk Down and several other novels. And he is also a reporter. And the title of his article is The Story Behind the Story, in which he looks at the way that reporting, or what is called reporting now, has changed over the last few decades, specifically the last decade. And he gives a good overview with one specific example revolving around the Sonia Sotomayor nomination for the Supreme Court. If you want to understand what reporting is supposed to be and what it sometimes is labeled as, you need to read this article, and that will help you gain a perspective on what reporters do, what journalists do, and what they're not doing nowadays.
Now, a good report should have a few different things. The first thing you need to do is come up with a reason why you're writing. That reason is usually expressed as a question. If you can formulate a good, solid research question that is specific and has an open-ended answer, you can usually use that to drive all of your research during the research process. And if your question was really good, you should be able to do your research, come to some conclusions, answer that question, and the answer to that question could turn into your thesis. You could literally answer the question with a sentence, and that sentence would be your thesis. So every good report begins with a good, strong research question.
And sometimes only parts of that question will be answered through your research, because you simply don't have access to all the information, or there's so much going on with the subject matter that some questions are simply unanswered at this point in time. Now, throughout the semester, you might find answers to the question, or parts of the question, that you didn't have when you were writing the report. And the magazine offers you an opportunity to account for those answers that were probably unanswered in the report that you wrote earlier in the semester.
Okay, and another good thing that all reports should have is a strong purpose. You should be able to identify to yourself why you are writing a report. What exactly do you want readers to gain from reading your report? What is your purpose? And your purpose should be, not biased at all or not opinionated at all. It should be, to inform. But how specifically to inform and to inform about what is for you to answer. Another thing that you need to be cautious of when writing the report is your tone. We can't stress objectivity enough. We've said it a lot of times because we see a lot of students jump into the report and start giving their opinion about the facts. Remember that your tone will convey a lot to your reader about how credible you are as a writer. So, you need to keep your tone really academic and professional. Try to stay away from loaded terms or insinuations or anything that could imply your opinion. You want your reader to be able to understand this complicated and divisive issue without your bias getting in their way.
One way to make sure that you're using objectivity rather than bias or trying to argue for a position is to look through your paper after you've written it and make sure that you don't have I think, I feel, I believe statements in your paper, or any kind of statements that are similar to that would indicate your position on the subject that you're reporting on. Now remember, we're stressing this probably for the fifth or sixth time now, you have to remain objective. If in any form, any way, shape, or form in your report paper you are inserting your opinion in there, you are writing probably a position paper and not a report, which means that you won't do well in the report genre. So remember, objectivity is key. Keep the bias and opinion out. You can use it in the position paper that follows.
Now, obviously we think that the most difficult part about writing a report is remaining objective. We're prompting you to choose a topic that you feel strongly about, something that's really interesting to you and obviously really important to you or to your community or to your country. And so it's difficult to keep your own opinion out of the paper, but it's very important for this particular genre because it sets up your ethos for all of your papers, which will all come together at the end of the semester. So the thing to remember about report writing is that you are delivering information to people, to your readers, without telling them how to interpret that information. So you should never influence the way that the readers are viewing your perspective until the position paper.